news. We've got the 590 back up the yard. Just dropped the topper off. And apparently it was doing a nice job. So now dropped off. The cutlass, worthwhile keeping in the nettles. It's with a little bit of grease in that, it did a fine job, but now she's back here. We're not done on the dafts, but we finally have a track to spare. So yeah, what was on the Aster planter is now back on its wider tyres. When I say wider, they're this sort of width again, so not massive tyres by modern standards, but you know, wider. It's not row crops basically. So that's now available, so now that's going on the free row topper, so this one can go back into the grass and the nettles. Hopefully it won't get too grown up. I tell you what, I really hate the nettles this year. We never got around, we usually try and stay on top of them, but we just never got around to it this year, and now they're coming into seed, so next year's going to be even worse. So hip hip hooray, another job to worry about. But anyway, yes, 60/30 is now on the free row topper. Similar to the, well, exactly the same as the topper I've been using on the T6, except it's a rear mounted. When Dad bought them a few years ago, he bought them second hand as a pair. So we have two, one for dafts, one for tulips, because we're lifting both at the same time, so it just works out. So I'll just chuck my jacket on the seat, or not. We can park her back in the shed. The little magnificent 590 that got us out of a muddle. I still really like that. Like, you can just open the door again. You've got to put your shoulder into the door a little bit sometimes. Hang on, let me put you down. Go on. Show me up now because you're on camera. Here we go. It needed a bit of a hit. I really like this as a feature. It just holds the door open. And then you just pop. Shut. I don't know why I like that. I just do. So, let's go get parked up in the shed. Then the 590 can come out and play another day. Probably with a plough on. Not that one, that's the 4610. Where's the free thrower gone? Oh, it's over the other side then. Come on. Hello, it is Wednesday. I'm wearing a hat because I desperately need a haircut. And we are back with tulip lifting. As you can see, I'm on the topper, but we've stepped out this time. I've got a little bit more to worry about. Just put that in park. I'm also running a 2-leg subsoiler behind me, busting up the rows, because we haven't had a drop of rain for a very, very long time at this point, and it shows on the lifting. The lifting is getting very, very difficult. It's wearing hard on all the wearing surfaces, and yeah, there's not a lot we can really do for the minute, apart from busting up the ends and through the rows. So the idea was I would do this all in one go, so I'm no longer topping 3 rows at once. I'm sort of doing 2 rows coming back along this row, because I can't go 1 down, 1 down, because then the subsoiler will pull sideways, because one side will already be busted, making it easier for one side, so it will crab. So we're skipping a row, then going back to it after both sides have already been busted. Then we're getting a second bust through it, because the roller on the back, I mean, you can still see a good bit of dust come off the planter. The roller on the back of this is actually keeping the dust down quite a bit, and also just going through it a second time isn't going to hurt. It's just helping out them lifting the tulips. So I'm going to make a start. I'm already at the lower position. Plonk the PTO in. There she goes. Set the revs. And now we crawl along at 5k. I got good enough with the topper where I was actually running this at 8k and actually doing a pretty good job. But because I've now got draft work on the back as well, I've had to crawl it all the way back to 5k, otherwise we start getting wheel slip, and where the weed's really thick on the tulips, it actually starts killing off the revs, so I had to dial that back a little bit. So we'll just make a start and leave the camera going.
It was at this moment that he knew. He
Language! Well, I've got a bit of bad news about the massey today. Dropping off Dutch Harrow because Dad's been levelling off headlands with this, and now I've got to go a fair few miles to the Gladdy field, so Dad said take the T6. A little bit overpowered for a Dutch Harrow, but we're only levelling. And we're starting to get a bulge on the tyre, look. The split there, that's definitely a bulge. You just think, oh no, that's no good. Love the little 590 bus. Love the little 4610. Still can't wait to get the jewels on that. That'll be great. But this has got jewels as well, actually. Just haven't fitted them. I need to weld on 3 lugs. So it's got a 5 instead. But still in the back of my mind, it's got an awesome little hum to it as you run it. But wouldn't that be so much better with an Opco turbo? Definitely, definitely yes.